going on, guys? Welcome back to Clash of Clubs. I'm Dylan. They just got punched in the mouth. They didn't even know how to react.
That is one Derby Diamond.
I'm Mila. Do we want to do a little prediction? That was the last time they showed an initiative to go get a fucking player.
City are still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero.
I'm Grant. They're talking a lot about you 15. How will you respond 15?
We downgraded from Peppa. Do you know how absurd that is?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's match day.
Welcome back to Clash of Clubs, episode 75. I've got Mila with me, and you might be wondering, where's Dylan? We don't care. Facundo is back, and we've brought along our resident Liverpool fan, Thomas. Welcome to the show. First time on. Dylan's on vacation right now, so we're taking over. Whatever. Anyways, we got to promote. Guys, we're doing well. Over 100 now. 114 subscribers. Like Dylan said, the goal is 500, but we haven't put a date on that yet. So do not worry about when. Just know we got to get there. So like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. And Dylan's not here. We didn't update this. Facundo's not even on the screen. We're moving on. Dylan, get to this next week. So anyways, we're going to quickly cover Chelsea's 0-0 draw against Bournemouth. We got Thomas on, of course, to talk about what's going on at Liverpool. I don't think we need to say much there. Man City creeping up from that rear view mirror. Arsenal again. We've got some stuff to talk about. So let's get it started. Let's get it started with Chelsea and Bournemouth. Did anyone watch that game?
No.
Anybody? Yeah, you didn't miss much. It was 0-0. Robert Sanchez was our man of the match. Attack was everywhere, except in the back of the net. Caicedo was gone, and we suffered from that. Palmer's back, but there's really just not too much to take from the game itself. Neither team was really a threat, I'd say. I mean, again, Robert Sanchez was the man of the match. I don't think anything speaks louder than that. We really missed Moises Caicedo. They weren't up for it. It's really the same sort of conversation that we've heard about Chelsea, where they can consistently get up for big games, but when it comes to this type of fixture, they struggle. So I guess that leads us straight into our talking point. And Mila, you came up with this fantastic tagline, so I'd like you to elaborate on it a bit and tell me what you think. What do you mean by a nice car missing its engine?
I mean, you guys have a bunch of shiny toys at the end of the day. You have the Palmer, the Esteval, like guys that should be able to get it done, but that's when you're playing good. And I don't think you guys play good without Caicedo. It's very similar to what we had with Rodri, where if he wasn't playing, we just did not look like the same team. And I think that's very much the case with you guys.
We definitely missed him. I mean, Reece James, we've been talking about his performance in the middle, but again, I don't think it's really possible to replicate what Caicedo does on a week in, week out basis, right? I mean, we've spoken lyrical about him more than enough times on the show, but I mean, yeah, Facundo, I saw you nodding your head over there, trying to be sneaky. Where are you at on kind of where Chelsea are right now?
Yeah, I think not having Caicedo is probably the biggest influence in how I think, but I don't know. I feel, granted, we've talked about this a couple weeks ago where like I didn't feel like they were playing all that great and they were still kind of right there, and now they've fallen off a little bit. I just think that's kind of down to how your team is. It's super young. It's going to be super inconsistent. You have some athletes, but I think Caicedo is probably your biggest athlete, and you need a lot more of that in this league. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of at the same place I was a couple weeks ago with Chelsea, where it's like I don't really take them seriously because I know after good form, they're going to play lower level teams and they're going to struggle. And the issue has always been how Chelsea plays against the lower level teams, not against the big teams. So yeah, kind of same old meh with Chelsea.
Thomas?
Yeah, I mean, not too much to add on Chelsea's front. I think it's pretty similar to last season, just, probably a few more points at the end of all 38 matches. I think you guys are fine. I mean, you're still in your rebuilding phase, if you will, right? So, I mean, it would have been nice for Chelsea fans for you all to compete for the title. Is that realistic after we've seen the beginning of the season? Probably not, but you go ahead and you get top 4 and you keep going. I think the expenditure you've had leaves a lot to be desired with your current 11 and the depth of your entire club. But obviously, you're going to continue to spend and continue to kind of add to that. So I think Chelsea are on the up.
Yeah, and I would agree mainly with your sentiment there. I do think it's disappointing that we're not in that conversation, but I think that's all down to how we've recruited, obviously, over the past few years. But again, this summer, we tripled down, quadrupled down. I think doubling down is putting it lightly. But it's just not there yet. It's not all the way there. I think for me, I just always end up looking at our back line. It's all right, but that's not a title winning back line. Yeah, and I feel like we've covered Chelsea a lot, obviously, but I think it's this consistent cycle of, again, we get our hopes up, and then as soon as the form starts to drop, just shit hits the fan, right? I think that's the part that I just can't stand. Yeah, we're level on points with Man United right now. I don't know how that happened, but that's where we are. I don't think that means the project's a
Your best player
disaster. It's
got
over.
a
We got
red card. 3 games. He got suspended
Yeah.
3 games in the middle of the field, and there's no one to replace it. Like that's what happened. He can't lose his head again like that.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, but
especially
he
in that
will.
game in particular.
Yeah, he will. I mean,
He will.
yeah, I
And
don't know. I keep comparing it to Rodri, but just remember when he choked Gibbs White out. That could have been detrimental. Luckily, we hung on. Actually, I might be mixing the season up, but that affected the season a lot. It's very similar, where he did something stupid and you guys dropped 4 points.
Yeah,
off
he
of it.
was
It seems that you
seeing red
shouldn't
from
be.
the start of that game. He
Bro,
was
he's been
he was
enabled.
all over.
He's been enabled. He's been doing this all the time. He does not get enough yellows. And if you gave him yellows, like he should have had a yellow earlier in that game, and then he probably doesn't commit that tackle. But the fact that it just was let go, then you're asking for it at that point.
Yeah, I think that's part of his style of play. Kind of how the discussion about Cherokee last week, where it's like, oh, you can't take the flair out of him that takes away his creativity. You can't take away Caicedo's aggressiveness, but I think harnessing it is maybe the better way to look at it. Because yeah, he's very aggressive, and I mean that's his first red card for his club in his entire career. I think he's gotten one for Ecuador, but I feel like that was surprising to me hearing that. I hope I'm not wrong, but I know it's his first one for us. Maybe it's his first one in the Prem even. But yeah, it's definitely a wake-up call, and I think that's something you learn from. He's a player of tremendous quality. I'm not concerned with it in the long term. But again, like you said, Mila, this is the consequence of a player we rely on incredibly being out for 3 games. We're going to see him in Champions League midweek. It's going to be night and day difference, and then we got one more game without him. I don't think there's any reason to panic. I really think that's the kind of way I guess we can end it. Yes, it's the same Chelsea in terms of it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster. I do think it's going to be less up and downs than it has been in the past. But again, we're not a finished article yet. So this is something we're going to have to live with. But I do think being in the Champions League spots, it shouldn't come down to the last day like it did last year. I think that in terms of progress, people always talk about progress. If we're in a dogfight, that's very disappointing. Anything else to add on that 0-0 draw, or good to move on?
I was gonna say, speaking of dogfight.
Oh, speaking of dogfights, man. What did you think about this game, Mila? I feel like it's a good one to let you run
We
on.
have a Liverpool fan for the first time ever, and you're gonna ask me what
Ease
I
him
think of
in.
the game.
You can't just throw young players into the wolves like that, Mila. We've talked about this.
Tell us what you thought.
Yeah, this one was one that hurt, no doubt. I have another buddy who's a Liverpool fan, so we text about the matches all the time, and he had to leave actually at 2-0. And I was so close to texting him, like, this season, of all the times you have to miss the back half of the match, you know, we're finally up 2-0. Like, this is the one that you can probably get away and check ESPN, and you got 3 points in the bag. And then it just went berserk. I mean, you obviously have to start with the penalty. I know Grant, Facundo, and I discussed this in person the other day. I think it's incredibly soft. Is it a penalty by law? Yes. We don't need to dive into the whole depending on the position of the box. Is it worth 0.7 XG, right? All that stuff. I think it's soft. They give it, so be it. You're Liverpool, you're up 2-1, see the game out, right? Like that's how I view it. That's how I've always viewed us as a team. You're going to get decisions that go against you. Figure it out. The second goal is what's most frustrating to me. I'm sure you all probably didn't super analyze it. I mean, Szoboszlai, who's our most industrious player, he's the one tracking the ball, and he kind of just slacks off and passes him on to the defense. And then we have our two center backs that just kind of stare. Nobody presses up to close down the space and gets a shot off 2-2, just like that. And it's Elland Road, right? So I'm surprised we even came back and got a third, realistically. So you get the third. That's amazing. Okay, there's 5 minutes left. What do? We go ahead and we concede again on a set piece, which we've done countless times this season. And it's really hard to explain. You have so much height in the team, not just your center backs, but your forwards, to consistently, miss the first ball and let it ping around the box like we do. It's super disappointing. And yeah, I mean, you had the opportunity with Arsenal dropping points recently. We went 1-1 2 match weeks ago, and now we're 3-3 here. Like, it's just, it kind of is I don't know the right words for it, but it's kind of like, okay, we're not at our best, and we have to just kind of admit that.
Mila.
Yeah, I think that was really well said. But I can't complain about this. I'm so happy to be here. I didn't watch the entire game, so I don't really have much to say on the game, but I do have a lot to say on the following subject, if we're ready, unless Grant and Facundo have anything to add on the game.
I think we can get into the hot topic, right? What everyone's been talking about. I mean, right after the game, Salah speaks to the press, which again isn't something he does all the time. Scheduled remarks and went in. Said he's being scapegoated, talking about how he feels. And this afternoon, we had Jamie Carragher's response in the media. Seems to be an all-out civil war going on currently. So yeah, I think the best place to start, Mila, you're right. We do need to start with someone who's been in and around this situation for a while. So I do want to start with Thomas's thoughts and just kind of how this has all unfolded.
Yeah, it's incredibly shocking, right? I mean, you're already disappointed about the result, and then you're on Twitter and you see this and you're like, what in the world is going on? It's not the first time Salah's spoken out last season about contract talks, although that's, of course, in a different vein. This one, there's some malice behind it, right? It seems like from both sides. Obviously, as a fan base, we're questioning why Salah's on the bench 3 matches in a row, right? That's not something that has ever happened. I don't think he's even been benched for back-to-back matches in 10 seasons. As well as why not bring him on as a sub? Like that kind of, if you're going to, play game slot, like, you at least play him a little bit. Maybe it helps. No, I think it was, there's so much to unpack. I don't know where we start here, but I'm not utterly surprised it's happening in the sense, like once you kind of flesh it all out. I mean, Salah's a world-class player. He's been a top 3 player with Ronaldo and Messi over the last decade, and he has kind of earned that superstardom role. And I don't think it's that uncommon in soccer for a player to do this. He's given his all to the club. He goes out and signs a new contract last season, and he feels that Slot or whoever kind of behind the scenes is not really doing what they said they would do, or trusting him in a way that he thought he would be trusted, right? We don't know those conversations. We don't know what's been promised. The fact of the matter is, this is a really easy conversation to have when we're in the form we're in, right? If we're in first place, this obviously isn't happening, or, second, third, even, right? This isn't happening. So I'm sure you guys will touch on the Carragher stuff too. I mean, I'll just say briefly, I think, yes, it is strategically timed in the matter of we're dropping points. I will say Salah is a little bit calculated in that regard. You never want to see it, but here we are, and who knows what the outcome's going to be, but I'll leave it at that for now and let you guys kind of pitch in a bit.
Mila.
I'm so happy with this. I don't think these issues came up last year because, like you were saying, they were winning. They ran away with the league, so they were just all happy clappers about everything. But I've been harping on it for a while that I think Slot is just fraudulent and not a good coach when it comes down to it. This is his team that he's built, and it's all kind of fallen to shit. And you've taken, like you were saying, a legacy player, not just a player that had a phenomenal season last year, one of the best we've seen in the league, but to do that consistently in the Premier League for a plethora of years, I do think that garners a bit of money in the bank when it comes to situations like this. So for him to be the scapegoat, I do think he is a scapegoat in this situation. It's a really bad look for the club, especially in a time like this, in a time of regression and just adversity. This is not what you want to see from like your best player or your coach. So as a Liverpool hater, this is awesome. I'm having the time of my life right now. But yeah, Facundo, you've been quiet.
Yeah, I actually am of the opposite opinion. I thought the comments were kind of a bit selfish, and just like, you haven't been in good forms. You haven't played in 7 days. It's just been 7 days you haven't played, and you come out with a comment like that. Considering, obviously, it's tactical because of the form that they're in, but I just think that's you're not helping your team there. You're more worried about yourself than the collective. Now, does that mean he's wrong? I don't know. To me, that's something you do behind closed doors, but there's a reason why he's doing it in public. I'm just not particularly a fan of how he's handled it. Again, he has not been in good form this year. So if it's last year, right, you're scoring every other game. You're scoring 2 goals, whatever a game it felt like. You can kind of do this. But I think considering the situation, it's a bit selfish. But yeah, I mean, the manager also has a problem because he can't figure it out. And he's got a bunch of talent to potentially figure it out. I kind of feel for him too, because if not for Konate, that game probably ends in a Liverpool win and they cruise. But you make one stupid ass mistake and then it cost your team. And that should have been the headlines, but instead we're talking about Mo. Because Konate's been in horrendous form and doesn't get dropped.
Spent $500 million and didn't buy a center
So
back. They didn't buy a
there's that. I see both sides. I don't think the coach is doing himself any favors, and I don't think that of Mo, but I just don't think it was the right decision to go do this, because it's selfish. But yeah, I mean, another guy's in horrendous form and he hasn't been dropped. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I think that's where I give him a little leeway. Sorry, I'll just finish this up and then pass it to you. But yeah, if there were players that were having more output, more effective in the game, then I totally get it. And I agree with you, it would be selfish. If they were playing well and he came out and said this stuff, it'd be selfish. And we've seen that plenty of times in the Premier League. Where for them to be bad and for what he means to this club, and then to drop him for nothing better, it's appalling to me. So that's where I'm coming from on my take.
I mean, yeah, I do agree. Salah, I mean, we were calling for him to get dropped at a point, right? Like, form hasn't been there. You're losing every game. You got to change something and see if it works. And again, to your point, did it work or did you play West Ham, right? Like get him back in the team, see if you can get him going. So yeah, I do think it got a little personal in that sense of 3 straight times, didn't even bring him on against Leeds. Yeah, I just think the way he handled it, to Facundo's point, I also perceived it as a bit selfish just because you inherently should know by coming out publicly with this pretty much ultimatum, the way I saw it, you're not helping your team by doing that. Maybe in his eyes, by getting rid of Slot, he's helping the team, right? But you're causing so much distress by making this a public thing. And again, Thomas makes a good point of, I think an important thing that Salah said was he was made promises that weren't kept. We don't know what he's talking about. We do not know what promises. We don't even know if he's telling the truth on that. But I think that's where it is. He was told one thing and now another thing's playing out. But just to handle it publicly, I get, but also just leaving the AFCON in a week's time, just almost kind of leaving your mess for a month and a half. I don't know. That's kind of how I perceived just making it public. I do think to an extent both guys are right. I thought Salah should have gotten dropped, and I'm starting to question if Slot's going to be able to turn it around. So I can see both sides, but I just think surely it could have been handled in the back of the house.
Yeah, I mean, I'll add more to it. I'm not saying Salah is like absolved of everything, but
Right.
I'll give you my stance here, who I side with. Yeah, I mean, obviously you want to see these things played out behind closed doors. Obviously, it's tactical, not only in the form, but the fact that the January window's approaching and he's going off to AFCON, right? Like all of these play a factor. And regardless of his form, obviously he's backing himself to continue being a world-class player. And if Slots basically said, you're not part of the plans, even for how much he loves Liverpool, he wants to go and continue to play, right? Like, I think we can all understand that. Who knows if that ends up happening? I think, not to extrapolate, but if the club goes ahead and sells him in January, I mean, watch out. Like, this fan base is going to riot. Like, that's you don't do that. Yeah, I think his form is clearly not there. But when you look at the struggles of Liverpool, it's not really the attack. I mean, yeah, it's not at the levels it's been of prior seasons. But I mean, we've conceded joint most goals with basically everybody in the relegation zone, right? Like the only teams that have conceded more than us are the 3 relegation teams in Forest, I believe. So the defense is clearly the issue. I don't even think the midfield's been that great, and that's saying a lot because we brought in Verts and the midfield was so good last year. So that's the problem. I think, Mila, you touched on it, right? You don't bring in a center back outside of Giovanni Leone, who goes ahead and tears his ACL in the first match, which is incredibly unfortunate. But regardless, there should have been more defensive support brought in. And in my eyes and all Liverpool fans' eyes, I think we went for Isak, and that's a whole nother story. Hindsight's 2020. Clearly, you probably would take Gahey over him now, even in a like for like a swap, like 150 mil, like 50 mil, whatever it was. It's like you would do that in a heartbeat. You have Joe Gomez on your bench. I'm not saying this guy lights it up, but he's a fantastic squad player. And Slot this year to last year, it's so different. I don't know if anybody remembers this. It might have been the first match of the season. I think it was. Jarrell Quansah starts over Konate. He gets hooked after 45 minutes.
Yep.
Like, just, you're playing like crap. Get out of here. And Konate has consistently been our worst player all season long. Mm-hmm. To not try Gomez just seems a little bit, I guess, the wrong choice. And to Salah's like perspective, a little like, why am I getting dropped? And then there's also the whole like Cody Gakpo starts every game with like, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a Cody Gakpo like hater. Like, this guy does score a fair amount of goals, but I don't know. I think when you look at the recruitment brought in this summer and you look at it from Slot's perspective, okay, if you thought Salah was on the way out or you weren't 100% convinced with him being your starting right winger for 38 matches, then why is the only out and out right winger you brought in? Well, nobody but Frimpong, right? That was your AFCON coverage. Yeah. You have Chiesa there, but you never play him. Like, I just don't understand what the thought process was with that recruitment. if this is kind of where he was going. It's like, it kind of confuses me.
Yeah, and I think it's crazy that, I mean, what's coming out is it seems like they're backing Slot, right? And he's dropped from the squad. And again, it's a short-term solution, right? We're not sure if he's going to play on the weekend. But, I mean, it kind of seems like obviously a lot can happen. But the way it's trending right now seems like he either has to apologize, and I don't know if I could see that happening, or he's done. I mean, we saw a certain source say that he's getting sold in January. I don't necessarily put too much stock into that, but I just don't know how this ends. Like, what's the next steps? Like, how's this playing out?
Alone.
I mean,
I
if
think
you
he's
haven't
gonna
let
get
go,
loaned out, honestly.
yeah, if you haven't let go of the manager yet, then you're going to let go of the player. In my opinion, you don't remove the player if you're not.
You think they can't reconcile?
I think they can. I think the issue is obviously Thomas has hinted at the defensive issues. My reason for dropping Mo was because everybody was targeting him because he doesn't run back. But I think that's a collective issue within the front line of the team. It's not just a Mo Salah issue. It's none of them do it and not enough. Because there's only one guy really in the back line right now that can defend, and Connor Bradley, when he plays, may be at right back. But when you have one guy defending and you're relying on your world-class keeper to make insane saves every day, like, you're going to struggle. But I don't think you can scapegoat one specific player, even though I agree. I thought he should have been dropped. I'm shocked he just hasn't gone into like a 4-4-2 already, or even a 3-back, and just play all three of your center backs. But
yeah,
I mean, he's got to figure it out. But he hasn't done anything to change it. He tried going back to last year, and you still look like shit. So
yeah,
at some point you got to find a solution. Sorry.
No, I mean the tactics are all wrong, and it's not like when we tried playing like last season. It wasn't even really last season, which is like frustrating. I think the idea that Mo doesn't track back, okay, sure, let's take that at face value. None of the attack tracks back. If you look at it from last season, distance covered, Salah's numbers are actually up from last season, right? So is that a fact that we're having to defend more? Probably, but this isn't a guy that just consistently stays forward. He will help. Is he that effective in doing so? No, but I would say when we're on the ball, right, in possession, we're playing like a 2-1-7. Like it's absolute blasphemy. It's a joke. The midfield's non-existent because everybody wants to get forward. The only players that even come to pick up the ball, right, Soboslai and Gravenberg. But there's nobody to pass to because they're all on the 18-yard box, and it's just stagnant and it's slow and it's pass it to the left, pass it to the right. Like it's kind of a disaster. It's like where are our star players? Why are they not coming on the ball? And where did the midfield go? Right. And I think kind of that it's kind of 2 for 1. It's the tactics and the formation are bad and the recruitment's bad when it's like, okay, you have all these attackers, but they all want to play in the exact same left channel. So you only have Salah on the right, Ekitike, Isak, Wirtz, Gakpo. They literally all want to play at the same spot, right? And then 2, it's like, okay, when I see Salah's dropped, okay, now you're playing a front 2, front 3, depends how you look at it. But basically your furthest 2 advanced players are either Ekitike and Isak and Wirtz. Well, they're going to drift left. Ekitike is going to drift into midfield, and it's like you have Wirtz is like your only central attacking option, which that's not getting the best out of him. Grant, you kind of alluded to it when we go to Italy tomorrow, our traveling squad. The only winger in our entire squad tomorrow is Ngumoa. The only winger. So, Gakpo's not traveling. He's hurt. Same with Chiesa. So then you drop Salah. It's like, how is that even possible, right? So I think a lot of things are wrong. I think to your guys' point, if you're this far, you back the manager. I can see that perspective. I just think it's a really bold move by the board. I know you guys might think otherwise, like a coach is a coach, a player is a player, but
I get it.
Salah's
different.
much
It's incredibly different, and I just think that was my whole reasoning behind it being such a I think dumb is too simple of a word, but just to come out and have this conversation, you're immediately pitting your fans against the coach who you're probably questioning already, and then one of your all-time legends. So to make them pick you over the coach, like just starting up that sort of dialogue, I just think it's a negative for the team as a whole. When in reality, you hash it out behind doors, going like, "Hey, why am I not in this team?" Like, I clearly rates himself very highly. I think all the greats probably do, but like,
sorry,
no,
I
you're
just
good.
think if he lost the dressing room, he's lost the dressing room.
Yeah.
And Salah's a big part of the dressing room. So
Of course.
But I also think, like,
I think
at
that's where the
Salah's
big
age,
issue is.
you can.
Of course,
I understand why the club is doing that, because at that age
Definitely.
in that position,
and
based
I think
on
he
what
knows
you've
that
already
too.
seen,
I
but
think
I
this is
agree.
more like a eject button on I'm not happy with the situation. I don't want to be here with the last couple years of my peak, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe like the
That's
end
the
years.
confusing part, which is why I think it's like, which we're never going to know what went down in the summer with contract negotiations. Like, we're not too far removed from that. So between Salah, Slot, the board, like, what's changed so much? I don't believe that being on the bench for 3 matches in a row is the sole reason why he came and spoke out this way. To Mila's point, I think the dressing room has been lost to an extent. I don't think it's unsalvageable, but when you just look at our players' body language on the pitch, it's night and day different from not only last season, but of course every season under Klopp. And I look at our captain Van Dijk specifically; it's uncharacteristic of him to act in the way he does. Like, take aside his own personal match rating, if you will, but just the way he looks and his gestures and his posturing, it's just off. So I believe something is deeper happening behind the scenes, and it's due to the drop of form, but I don't know. The man management seems to be missing or off. Like something's wrong.
Any closing thoughts, guys? Because I really think it's just everything coming into a head at once, and Salah going public. It's got to play out now that everyone's seeing it. So it's a lot of things. To Thomas's point, it's not just 3 games dropped. I mean, we've seen over the course of the season, really since the summer, it's all kind of led up to this, and now everything's hitting at the same intersection, right? So it's all going to play out. Mila, other than long may it continue. What do you think?
I just think Salah will be gone in January. Who knows though?
It'd be a monumental error from the board to sell Salah. Like, you can't quantify what that decision would kind of spark from our fan base.
I think I can.
Well, I know what I'm rooting for now.
Happen.
Yeah, I know what I'm rooting for.
Can I also ask a question?
Oh, of course.
Right. If the argument is that there's no one bigger than the club when it comes to Trent, why is Salah the exception there?
Like you're saying, how
right?
did
Like,
Salah become so much more valuable than Trent? Trent wasn't sold out of like want by the club.
No, I know, but I guess, but like, I still think you're not more than the club applies here, right? Like, it's a guy that's how old now? 30s?
34.
Like,
yeah,
on the later end of his career. Like, would it not make sense to get some sort of money for him instead of letting him go in a year or 2 for free? And you don't even know what kind of form he's going to be in for the next year and a half?
Nah, because you bought Salah for 34 million. You don't give a rat's ass what you get back for him. He's your legend with Stevie G and Kenny Dalglish. He should finish his entire career as a Liverpool player, whether that's at right wing or on the bench. Like, in my opinion, and obviously he doesn't want to be on the bench, but no, I think Salah's way bigger than Trent, even though Trent's a local lad. Yeah, nobody's bigger than the badge, but if anybody's gonna come real close to it, it definitely is Mo Salah.
I think circumstances play a part too, because in principle, yes, no one's bigger than the club, and we've heard a lot of former players coming out saying that in regards to this discussion. But I do think you'd have to look at context. I do think it's important, and of this generation of Liverpool teams, he's the first name that comes to mind, right? Like he's the guy on these teams, so it's a huge power play. And the thing is, if you cave in now, what precedent does that set? I think that's the dangerous part of going that route, but again, I think the best case scenario is everything goes well at AFCON. He comes back, cheery, you're top 5. It's not a problem. Picked everything up, and all is well. But again, I don't think that's too likely.
We'll see.
We will see. Let's talk about, speaking of, well, not title race. These teams are in a title race. We'll start with Man City's 3-0 win against Sunderland. Really impressive. Sunderland have been a tough nut to crack for a lot of teams. City seemed to take care of business. Mila?
Tough nut to crack is very good way to put it. And I think thanks to that Diaz goal, we cracked the nut. It was looking difficult to even find any chances, and he kind of just decided, hey, I have the most touches in this match. I might as well have a go because I have the most opportunity to do so. And he hit it with power. It got a deflection and opened up the game for us. From there, we got our first direct set piece goal with a Gavardiol header, so that's nice. And then just Cherokee magic throughout the rest of the game, whether it was control or making something out of nothing. He could have left with 4 or 5 assists. He only left with 2. But he was fantastic. I don't know if you guys got to watch any of it, but it was super fun to watch. I jumped out of my seat multiple times and screamed and scared the dog. So it was a good time.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was watching a 0-0 game going on, so I was just seeing your text pop up from like, oh, another goal. I was just so angry. It was like in The Incredibles when he's tearing down the posters. Like, I was pissed. But I did go back and watch the highlights. I mean, it looks like, so is it a midfield 3 of Gonzalez with Cherky and Foden? That's what it's saying. But
so this is what
in the middle.
It was. It was Bernardo in the middle.
Yeah.
Out of possession. In possession, Bernardo was playing as like a right winger. Cherky was coming into that half space. Actually, just free roam, honestly. But Bernardo was occupying the center of the pitch, though, on defense.
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of talked about it. City needs someone else to consistently be there that's not a robot, right? They need guys to consistently be there. Foden's starting to show that. And I think if you can have Cherky become one of those consistent performers alongside him, even still, right, we have 2 goals from defenders, one, Thunder Bastard, another from a set piece. So you could argue, right, oh, they're still not creating enough. I think, like you just said with Cherky, if he continues to grow in this team and understand the league better, I think him becoming a chief creator in that team, it can make things very dangerous.
Definitely. He's awesome. He said we'd be entertained once he gets more minutes, and he definitely delivered on that.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have a lot of goals in your team, no matter who's creating and who's putting the ball in the back of the net, you're going to score. Kind of to Grant's point, do you have that consistent second option outside Haaland? Looks like this season you probably do, whether it's in an aggregate or in an individual player. The team looks good and the goals reflect that. So clearly going to be a 2-team fight, right? I won't push this topic too far, let Facundo speak, but I think there's only reasons to be optimistic if you're a City fan this season.
I think their game shows why it's important to get the first goal. That's my takeaway.
We always get
instead of going down 1-0 and having to claw your way back. Granted, we were away from home, but in general, I think same thing against Villa. You get the goal first, you can kind of change how that game is played. City is more likely to do that than we are sometimes, but yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about this team. I honestly don't really watch you guys because I don't want to worry about you.
It's so fair. I'll talk on your point, though, that they were not at the Stadium of Light. That definitely played into this a lot because their approach to the second half compared to how they've played some of the big teams at the Stadium of Light was a lot more timid. That helps us in our recent run of form where we've been pretty fucking terrible in the second half. So I think they helped us look a little better, but it's definitely a good swing in the right direction for us. Hopefully momentum builds and we get going.
Yeah, man.
Yep, their first game as a relegation team is really how they played. It was their first game where they looked like they were the promoted side.
Maybe they just can't hack it in Manchester. Maybe that's what it is, because United somehow beat them too. I mean, we're not going to talk about United today because Dylan's not here, thankfully. Yeah, they're level on points with us, and it just makes me upset. Sorry to get sidetracked there. Did we have any other talking points here on this, or did we want to get into what you guys got coming up?
On this game, I feel like.
Well, I mean, I'll just touch quickly. I didn't watch the full 90, but and Mila, you make a point like, yes, this is in Manchester, but Sunderland have proven they're a really strong side and one that you're not just lining up and like, here's 3 points, even for the biggest of teams. So regardless of how these goals go in or the flow of the match, I think 3-0 against Sunderland's a great result. And just on a side point, I'm just excited to kind of see what Sunderland can hold up over all 38 matches and where they can be, because they've surprised, I think, absolutely everybody, and they've been really good. Drew to us 1-1, and I'm just sitting there like, they're playing us out of the park right now. Like, this is a legitimate side.
Yeah,
so,
they beat us away. We were at home. We scored a goal very early, and they just stayed in the game. They hung around, and then they right at the end sucker punch. I mean, they're a very serious team.
I want to see how they respond to a 3-0 loss away, but from everything we've seen so far, I think it'll be fine. They'll just screw their heads back on and go again.
Shows the quality of the league.
Yeah, it does. I mean, outside of, and again, Villa are up there in the table right now, but I wouldn't put them in this grouping of a title race. I mean, respectfully, they didn't score for 5 games. I do think they're a good side, but in terms of the title race, 100%, I do think it's down to 2 already. And really 3 through like 15th almost. I mean, Fulham are in 15th. They look very good in a lot of games they play. So this league is just uber competitive right now. But yeah, I do think we have 2 teams that are separating themselves from the rest. And City, it does kind of feel like this sort of inevitability, right? In terms of they always sort of pick it up. They always figure it out. And then all of a sudden they're on a run. It does seem like we're building towards that. But anything else to add before we segue into what they got not tomorrow, Wednesday? This game happens, I feel like, at least 3 times a year now.
This game guaranteed every year.
Yeah, and when this got drawn, I felt like it was like it was the first name on the team sheet in terms of the Champions League group stage. Man City, Real Madrid. You don't sound too excited about it. I know Shadman isn't either. Mila, just 2 high-level teams to have to see each other again. But where are you at?
From a footy standpoint, like if I was just a neutral, I think I would be excited about this if it wasn't for their recent run of form and injuries. We're going to the Bernabeu, but they have 1 fullback and 1 center back on their roster right now. So that means Carreras is probably playing the center back with Asensio, and Valverde is going to be dropped to that right back where he can do a job, but he's definitely going to be missed in the midfield. And they just look disjointed right now.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to see this as a litmus test for our team, and I don't think it's going to be that. I could totally see Pep doing some random bullshit where we end up just dropping 3 points anyways. But yeah, I definitely had more excitement prior when it was first announced. Definitely some of the eye roll of, oh, again, of course, we have to play them. Because I think it's been every year for the past at least 10 years, it feels like. So, yeah. Another day.
Seeing what's been happening to them, I mean, over the weekend, they have a humiliating loss at home to Celta Vigo. They crashed out too, 2 red cards. To me, it kind of came out of nowhere. When I saw Real Madrid over the summer, it seemed like Xavi had an idea of what he was trying to implement there. Switched up the formation a few times, sure, but it felt like there was an idea there. Maybe a lot of that comes down to playing with Gonzalo Garcia up top. They were missing guys, so they had more of a focal point up top, but now you're sort of catering to Mbappe. But all of a sudden, it just seems like he's throwing names on the team sheet again. It almost feels like if you told me Carlo was in charge, I wouldn't have been shocked. Showing me these team sheets, it just seems like a bunch of guys are playing out of position. Again, to your point, Mila, with the injuries stacking up, there's not too much to work with. It's a bit of a shit show on that front. But, man, it just seems like you can't get away with that at Real Madrid, and he's already on the hot seat. I feel like if he gets his pants pulled down by Pep, it could get really dark really quick. Because I think, again, Mbappe's had an absolutely phenomenal season. Just seeing some of the goals he's been scoring this year, he seems to be all over it. But Shadman was bringing up in the chat earlier today that it kind of takes away from everybody else. For him to get his game off, that's kind of how he was seeing it. So, yeah, now that you mention it, Mila, it does kind of feel like this game it can only go one way, but it is the Champions League, so anything can happen, but
of course,
I think I'm definitely leaning City here.
I mean, with all the reports, too, of Alonso being on his way out, it just doesn't... It feels like one of those games where they're just not going to try. And hopefully, like I was saying, Pep doesn't do that random stuff that leads to us dropping points because we need him, but this could be his last game, like you were saying, and I've seen reports of that plenty. I think it'd be a little foolish, but Real Madrid's Real Madrid, so they'll do what they want. It makes it a little hard to also predict anything from this game because I don't know what lineup we're going to see from them. We can predict, but like you were saying, he throws names at a wall and just sees what he likes. So it should be interesting. I really don't have much to go into for this game anymore. I think a month ago I might have had more to say, but right now there's really not many talking points. Mbappe, Holland.
Seems like the perfect opportunity for City to go to Madrid and get a result, right? Like you can't really pick a better time than now. I can't say I'm too tapped into La Liga, but yeah, these reports of them letting Xavi go, it seems surprising to me. And then I check their form, and it's like, how is this happening? Because like we talked about the depth of the Premier League and Sunderland and Fulham and all these clubs, it's like, yeah, you look at Celta Vigo and whoever else they're drawing 0-0 to, it's like, really, they can't be good. But besides that point, yeah, I mean, just to throw a wry remark in there would be pretty timely if he gets sacked and Salah wins his fight and we get the coach we wanted a year and a half ago all along. So no, but yeah, I think City go and get all 3 points here. Just looking back to our match with Madrid earlier this season, I think that was one of our most comfortable results. Like of any match, of course, we win 1-0, but regardless of scoreline, like that was the match we had the most control of. Of course, emotions are high, Trent coming back, all these things, but Madrid just don't seem to be the side that they have been previously. City are picking up the form, so yeah, that's where I stand.
You guys walked all over him.
Yeah, I hope we do the same and can rest for Crystal Palace
Facundo,
the weekend.
What are you thinking about?
I think these two massive Spanish sides have really gone down in their reputation recently. Barcelona financially with that mess, and now Real Madrid being the club of the best players in the world kind of comes back to bite you in the ass when they've all got like diva personalities and can't put the collective above themselves. So they've done it to themselves. I don't feel any sympathy for them.
Do you think they have any chance of winning at home?
Maybe. I mean, if you get beat like that, they just lose at home pretty badly. So
Celta Vigo, yeah. Marcus Alonso was playing center back.
There's a chance you get a respawn, and they have world-class talent. And one thing City is not good at, defending. So maybe they nick a couple of chances. They're not particularly good at defending either. So if it makes an interesting game for a neutral, which I won't be watching because I have work, then
Highlights.
yeah, I think City should win. But again, I'm hoping that you see some inconsistency from City because you've seen it a little bit, and I want that to be more of a pattern than not.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way Madrid win this game is if City hand it to them, and by that I mean making mistakes in their own final, right? Like giving the ball away in bad areas because again they have world class attackers. Mbappe doesn't need much of an opening. If they give Real Madrid chances, they'll get hurt. But I don't think just the current state of Real Madrid. I mean, Holland just pinning Carreras 1v1 in the air. How's that going to go? Right? Like I just don't think it's, especially a makeshift defense. I think it's going to be a long day. So speaking of teams trying to pick up some inconsistency, it's what we've been waiting for here on this channel. And you know what happens when Arsenal drop points? Facundo's on the show. So I know you have some thoughts on this game, Facundo, specifically. It was an early wake-up call, but you saw what you needed to see?
I initially just woke up for the last 10 minutes, so I didn't see what I wanted to see. Then I rewatched it. Yeah, I mean, I think my biggest takeaway, and we talked a little bit about it before we got on, but you played into the hands of how Villa wants to play. They played in transition. So remember the game in which we got the red card against City and we just defended in our half or our own 18 for 45 minutes, 50 minutes?
Great watch.
The City had maybe 6 more touches in our box than Villa had this past weekend. So, yeah, just not typical how we want to play. And I know people don't like the conservative style that we play, but I wish we had played that way and we probably would have gotten a better result than trying to play that basketball game with Villa. First half wasn't particularly great. Then second half, you start off well, you get a goal, and then it kind of just goes downhill from there. Villa kind of dominates the next 10, 15 minutes, and then And I think playing at home, the last 5 minutes, the crowd kind of gave them the energy that they needed to go and win that game. Another takeaway is probably if you have your 2 starting center backs, you don't lose that game, I think. The first goal with Timber, he's kind of a little too pushed to the right side instead of being probably a little bit deeper into his own box. So when he gets that header, he doesn't flick it off into the only area where Matty Cash can get it because Eze's just not aware of what's going on around him. And then Hincapie at the end just kind of could probably make a clearance, doesn't. They play quickly, bunch of chaos, and then they score the winner. So, yeah, I guess, and then losing Mosquera again just doesn't help us. And then I think my last point is I'm not trying to be critical of this player because I do think he played pretty well. Odegaard's got to figure out how to play and not make us heavily reliant on the right-hand side. We are at our best when both sides are fluid. And, yeah, I just think it was back to Zubamendi was kind of playing on the right side, and then you're having to cover that massive space where we used to get mad at Party for not being able to cover, and you kind of saw some of the same things there. I like when we play in 2s. So your 2 center backs, Timber, Saka, Calafiori, whoever's at left wing, Rice and Zubamendi, and then Eze and whoever the 10 is can kind of, or the 9 is, can kind of play off of each other. And I wish we do that a little bit more because we're not heavily reliant on one side. So Odegaard just got back. It'll take time to get used to everybody because everybody's been hurt. This entire team has not been healthy at the same time to where they can figure out how to play with each other. So that's just going to take a little bit of time. And going to Villa Park's a hard place to play. So I don't think dropping points here, granted, you would have wanted to get out of there with a point at least, but I don't think going to Villa Park and losing is the end of the world. City went there and lost. So just don't let this be the end of the world. And I think you'll be okay. You just got to get guys back healthy.
Well, all I do want to say on this is I know you were a huge proponent of Eze left wing, Facundo. So I do need to rub that in your face, hooked at halftime. But yeah, to your point, the team not being healthy the whole year, there's tons of quality depth that Arsenal have. And I think that also includes the center backs. 3 of the 4 natural center backs are hurt right now. It's Timber, who's been playing right back for a while, next to Nkapie. I think him and Mosquera have both been good, but when you're missing one of those rocks in your back line, Mila's harped on it when we talked about Chelsea for really the past 2 years now, but it is a huge gap that you just can't fill, having that sort of leader in the back. So I think that's really what you're missing there. Not to have both of them out, it's really just unfortunate.
Yeah, I'll touch. I haven't been spending my time to watch Arsenal as much as I had last season because we're not in a title race with them. But I did wake up to watch my boy Lando Norris win the Drivers' World Championship. But before that kicked off, I touched on that Villa Arsenal logo. Get in. That was a lot of fun. That was vintage hate watch. Love that. But no, Arsenal. I'm really impressed with them. I think me and Facundo have had so many conversations about Arsenal over the years, and I don't think I've ever been a hater, but I think I've just been realistic and maybe expecting more of them than what they've given. This year, regardless of the injuries, I think actually with injuries in mind, right? If this is Arsenal of even last year, but definitely of the previous years with all these injuries, you would not be sitting at the top of the table. And that speaks to, of course, the added depth that you've brought in during Mikel's time, but the mentality, I think, of the players is finally kind of there. And I'm not saying Gyökeres should hit the ground running, but of course he helps and has been a massive whole of your team. And whether or not he's getting the output you want, it helps. So I only have complimentary things to say about Arsenal, honestly. I wish it wasn't. I think if we go to the City pool era, I won't lie. I'd just give City another one. Who cares at this point? But no, I think Arsenal are a strong team. They'll definitely rebound. And this isn't the era where you need 100 points to win a title. You go to Villa, who's sitting in third, like you mentioned. You drop points 2-1. It's going to be okay, right? You're going to have plenty of opportunities to make those points back. So you're going to drop. So yeah, it's a competitive league.
Mila,
I don't have anything new to say on them. Facundo, how do you feel about the team's reaction to letting in that last minute winner?
What do you mean?
I don't know.
bit theatrical,
How you
maybe.
felt about it?
Dropping to the ground because you conceded with the last kick of a game. Did we watch what they did before all that? What did all of them do? They all literally jumped in front of the ball to try and go block it several times.
Except for the captain.
I saw one guy ice skating at the top of the box.
Yeah,
These are
I'm not
all
going to
things
have a
I've
question
hopped
on
on
mentality.
before.
I watch these guys play every week. I understand the mentality thing is just kind of like a rage bait thing, and I'm falling for it right now.
Yeah, let's get into that.
I think this team has the mentality. Again, they're fucking shattered, bro. This team keeps getting hurt. Declan Rice has not had a break. Timber hasn't had a fucking break. A lot of these guys are getting back from injury. Trossard couldn't even play a full 45 fucking minutes. He literally comes in the second half and has to get subbed off because he has on a minute restriction. So I just want to see these guys get healthy. And then we can figure out what happens at the end. I'm not here to say that they're going to win the league and all this stuff, but I would just like to see them get healthy and see what the hell happens. Because I'm not thinking about a title race in December. Like, get to March and April and see where you are. I think that's what determines if you're in a title race. I always talk to Grant. Get to December, get to Boxing Day, see where you're at. If you're in the top 3, you're in a good position. Then if you're all there still in April or March, you're in a really good position. It's those last 10 games that matter. More than anything in the world, it's those last 10 games. So they've played at Old Trafford, they've played at Anfield, they've played at St. James's Park, they've played at Stamford Bridge, they've played at the Stadium of Light, they've played at Villa Park. They've dropped points at most of those places, but You're not losing all of those games. You're still picking up points in an incredibly hard thing. Now, all of those people minus City have to come to you. Our game in April, that's going to mean a lot. That's when I think you should go have the attitude that I feel like they had in this Villa game where they were like, we want to go win this. And the Villa game was probably a game where it's like, hey, like, let's play calm. I think City, if you're neck and neck or you're within 3 points of each other, that's a must-win game. I don't think Villa is a must-win game, if that makes sense.
Man, I'm just real happy that the 15 goal record is a lot. It's incredibly safe. I never really doubted it, but
Are we
just
talking about
seeing that
Chelsea?
pop up.
Shut up, man, please.
Listen, man, I just needed to say my piece. Okay, all right. I mean, just seeing that would really piss me off. So I'm glad that's not being talked about. But yeah, I do think in all seriousness, Arsenal have shown a different side. I mean, I do think, to your point, Thomas, of a turn in mentality, I do think that was really the big step they had to take. Like in terms of level and quality, they have had it the past few years. They've been capable. They just haven't been able to get over the line, right, in terms of a major. I do think this team is capable, but like Facundo said, it is crazy to think about, but they haven't had this team fit together the entire year as a unit and integrating new players. I think that it will come with time, but yeah, I mean,
And they still have conceded the least goals in the league with all their defense.
Right. The defense is fantastic. The defense has been fantastic. Never really been a question. And I can't believe I'm even saying this, but I think Havertz is a huge addition when he comes back. I think maybe that's more of
He's seen the light.
I think it's more of a statement on
seen
the
light.
levels Gyökeres has showed since coming into the team. Not that I ever watched him play all the time, but I kind of how I felt this would play out is exactly how it's playing out, where yes, he'll be able to nab goals. He'll end up with a decent tally, but he's not giving you that impact you're looking for in the games you need him. And yeah, Havertz, for all the flaws he has as a player, and we do not have all day, he does get a lot of players involved. And I think the way Arsenal like to play, that's way more intuitive to success than what Gyökeres gives you. So with him, you're really just banking on a goal. Right.
Yeah,
and
but he doesn't create his own goals, and we've talked about it. They're lacking to create for that position. So that Havertz makes sense in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's options, right? Like I do think Facundo made a good point about like the ball kind of gets stagnant on the right side when Odegaard's playing. Like that's something that I've been a believer of for years now. But I think obviously you have Eze on the side. Declan, he has more room to roam now with Zubamendi there. Like whether or not Gyökeres is affecting the game, I don't think that matters. That's not really what Arsenal has needed over these past few seasons. They need a guy that gets the ball in the back of the net. So, and I know everybody, like, not to bring up Salah again, but like you get a goal at the end of the match, nobody gives a shit, right? Like the difference between 1-1 and 2-1, like that's what Arsenal's been missing. And so, I mean, there's still plenty more games. Gyökeres only has like 4, which isn't that much. It's not that little. At the same time, I don't know. I just think with him, Havertz, Marino, you just have kind of different options in different matches. Like they'll piece it together. They'll have enough in that position.
They're two very different profiles, but I don't agree with the point that he's not getting service. Look at the ball Declan puts in at the end of the game, and you're not making the run as the 9.
No, yeah. I think there's, yeah, that's.
He's not been great, but I also don't expect him to be good when he's just now coming back from injury, and I've already seen him with a preseason still look slow. So clearly, this is a player that needs a run of games.
I'm not gonna lie. He looks a little fat.
He doesn't look
worked on Luka
as fast as he used to, and I think that's my thing. Is like you're not getting separation, which is my concern. I do, to Thomas's point, do think he helps the team by bringing in 2 center backs. I've never seen Saka have this much space in my life in the past 3 seasons. I've seen him get double teamed every game. With Gyökeres, he gets that space because the center backs have to double team him because he can bully at least one person one time and score, and that's the difference. If you don't let him score, then you're trying to see what everybody else can do. But yeah, I don't think he's been that great. I'd rather have Kai. I've been saying this, but
you have.
Yeah, I mean, we play well with Marino at the 9. I think that says a lot about how good this team is. It's just get healthy. That's it. That's my only wish.
You know, what are you seeing as the guy in the rear view mirror, right? Trying to get past this. That's what
I mean,
that's what the goal is.
there's really nothing new for me to say. If Facundo thinks the mentality has changed, then who am I to say that it hasn't? And to his point, it is December 8th when we're recording this. Season doesn't end till about late May.
Hey, both of
Early
Liverpool's
June.
Premier League titles were wrapped up in December. Like, you guys just got to get
because
better.
you guys are lucky pool. But yeah, I do think it's a bit early to say anything just because of one loss to Aston Villa. Again, to Facundo's point, we lost to Aston Villa, so it's not the end of the world. But historically, not even talking about Arsenal, when we're breathing down a team's neck at the top of the table, it ends in our favor. So that's where my head's at. I'm not really too worried about that as long as our guys can maintain the mentality that we've had. Minus maybe the last year, then I think we're fine. But I think that says a lot to Arsenal. Like, we don't know if that mentality's changed until they can go get that title. So I don't want to say that they don't have it because I can't really say that. But until I see them lift the trophy at the end of the season, I'm not convinced.
I think the other thing too, and like obviously Rodri is a huge X factor for you all, right? Like obviously you all dropped your form last season. This is a different iteration of a City team. So where I do agree, City's breathing down your neck, it's the badge, it's Pep. You still have world-class players, and most people are going to back you to do it. I'm not sure it's as cut and dry as just to say, oh, City have this one locked up, because it's a different side, to where, yes, Arsenal haven't finished at the top of the table, but these past 2-3 seasons, they've been right there. And with us falling back now, this current Arsenal side is kind of the ones with the ace up their sleeves in the standpoint of they've kind of been the ones here. Like they're kind of at the top. They're at the head of the table in that sense, which is really weird to say. I'm surprised I'm saying it myself. Trust me. I think it will be a great battle down the line, but I mean, Arsenal's been trying for 5 seasons. Like that matters. I look at Liverpool. We tried against you guys, four titles in a row before we won ours. Like, I don't know. It'll be neck and neck, no doubt.
Man, yeah, it's early to your point. It's weird because like muscle memory almost tells you like there is one ending to how this goes. There's one ending to the story, but it is a new city.
I don't think my point was that I think it's done and dusted. We're gonna win it, but that's just where my head is at.
Yeah.
Normally, that's what's gonna happen. Normally, Arsenal are gonna drop down. They're gonna bottle it in a way. But that's the main thing. I think it comes down less to the technical ability of our squads. I think both of our squads have the ability to go win the Premier League, but it really is about the mentality of both of our teams. And if we can keep that mentality that Pep's instilled, then we're in a good position. But if Arsenal can break the bad habits that they've had in some of the other years and can get a bit of luck with the injuries, like Facundo was saying, then they definitely have a great chance.
It's a war of attrition. I think that you got to stay fit. Like that's the number one thing because both teams are just one injury away from you're on a completely different path now, right? It just changes everything. Like that's just where we are, and with the amount of injuries that we are seeing, you can't really say you're exempt. So I think that's really what's important is just staying healthy. To Facundo's point, like March, April, then you could keep your eye on it. But I think both of you guys are kind of in the right state of mind of like, yeah, you guys just need to keep your heads down, do your job, and then if you end up where you think you should end up, it's time to really push because that's when it matters. So I'm excited to see this play out. It's just disappointing we're not involved.
Agreed.
Yeah, well, this was fun. I enjoyed this, guys. I also really enjoy having Dylan host. I mean, that is, man, I can't even like make fun of him as much now. I got to give him props. It ain't easy. But Thomas, thank you for coming on. Much appreciated. Love getting an insight on Liverpool, especially at this hour. Facundo, hopefully you guys drop points soon. We'd love to have you back. Dylan, enjoy your trip. I don't really care either way. Mila, good talk as always. This is Grant. Thank you guys for watching. And like, subscribe, comment, all the good stuff, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers.
Two words for him. Different gravy. Glorious goal! Wreathed in red. We're really seeing the most extraordinary finish here. On this day of days, has he delivered? Just magnificent! Potentially life-changing! That's football. Minute you let it under your skin, then you begin to make it better.